than Lydia Ko. Didn't go to college, but she is studying psychology. So she is studying as well as playing, Ko.
Gee, she'll have a bit to work with in the locker room then.
Does she have to do any case studies in her study?
No, a few players are actually doing that. Alison Lee trying to finish off her studies. Obviously, Michelle Weed did the same thing out at Stanford University as well. It's hard to study on the road, though. It's so difficult on different time zones.
But a day like this is a brute of a golf course. Windy conditions, a hard golf course to walk, and then you've got to come back and put a couple of hours of study in.
Candy, can she get one of the shots back that she dropped at the previous hole? That's at the 7th. A momentary pause in her round occurring at the par 5. I mentioned that very good week she had at the HSBC Women's Champions. She's a quality player, Candy Kung. She hasn't won for a long time, but she gets herself into contention a bit.
Yes, had her chances at the Blue Bay LPGA last year.
This to get to within 2 of the lead for last week's winner, In Kyung Kim. It'll come up the slope for the first 7 or 8 feet of its journey and then flatten out and even a little down the slope towards the hole. Good speed. She is amongst the players who are living proof that good things come in small packages. She's only tiny. She packs a punch, though. Sneaky long.
Brooke Henderson down the slope on 7 for birdie. Needs to get to 2 under par. Well, when she gets her eye in, she's one to watch.
She's number 2 on birdies on the tour this year, Brooke Henderson. Number 5 in subpar rounds, number 7 in scoring average. That's part of the reason she's up in the top 4 of the Rolex World Rankings and 3rd on the money list. Hannah had a stretch after that burning start to the year that she had where she didn't play a lot of golf. All sorts of issues. She missed 8 of 9 tournaments at one stage, but lovely to see her out there. She's a breath of fresh air for the game. A real character.
Yeah, and he's saying putting left hand low. Tiddler for a par. And a good putt.
Well, as they depart 8, why don't we take a trip over the top of it?
Lovely hole, the 8th hole. Tends to play down breeze, but the key is with the drive, for most players going with a fairway wood, try and keep it as left of the fairway, down the left-hand side of the fairway as possible, as that does open up the green for the ideal line in. Green today, the whole location is 17 on and 5 left, and it's trying to hold the second shot with that down breeze.
Fairway metal in hand for Brooke. Well, she doesn't like it. It looked a little low, which usually means left, but that one's just skipping out. Getting a bit of a members bounce there, Brooke Henderson. Candy Kung could have used with one of those back on the 6th.
Driver's nearly as big as she is.
For both players, Chang and Henderson.
Stay left. I think it's fine.
It is fine,
Still
Hannah.
under fresh.
Yeah, there's a big slope that dissects the middle of this 8th fairway. If you go right, it will kick right.
There's an example of exactly what Ali was talking about there, that ball just scuttling towards the right edge of that fairway. We'll be back to check in with that shortly. Meantime, let's move ahead to see whether Aimee Azato can join the leaders. This for birdie at 10 to go -4. And there are going to be so many people so delighted to see this young lady up the top of the leaderboard.
And it's got the flat stick working as well. That's the key to her game, Aimee Azato.
Lots of birdies so far in the opening round. Let's have a look at some of them now. At the 5th, Candy Kong, one of the local heroes, had made a great start. She'd made birdie at the 1st, birdie at the 2nd, coming off a bogey at 4, but an excellent approach there at 5, and Candy would go on to make her 3rd birdie of the day in 5 holes.
Aimee Azato ranked 99th in the world, a couple of birdies early on and then a bogey. But this was a very good chance on 8 to get that bogey off the card, and she converted. Azato making 3rd birdie of the day.
Well, Chinese superstar Shan Feng turned in 33, this for birdie, on the 10th hole, up the slope. Judged to perfection for Shan.
Speaking of superstars, the biggest one in the game at present, Lydia Ko, had by what were her standards of just an ordinary par at 6, and then, as the champions do, she came out and rolled one in for birdie at 7.
Talking of champions, last week's champion, very good chance of a birdie on 7. No problems indeed for the Rainwood LPGA star.
And Caroline Masson, after an excellent approach to 16, had this to rejoin the lead, and she's got her eye in on this Thursday.
And the 7th hole, it was a great tee shot from Henderson. You know, she's got the distance, but also had the accuracy, and a beautiful putt from the Canadian. And she finds herself the sharp end of the leaderboard.
So let's see what all of that means to the leaderboards. And Amy Yang and Chan Feng trying to get a little gap at the top. Amy Yang has gone birdie 2, birdie 3. Chan has gone birdie 10, birdie 11. And so now they have a lead of 1 over Masson, who momentarily joined them at 4 under. Aimee Azato also got herself up near the top of the leaderboard. Hope you're enjoying the action from the Miramar Golf Country Club in beautiful Taipei. Too familiar story over the last few years.
Yeah, with such an aggressive swing as well, you really need to have that confidence up high for a player like Yani Tseng. This on 8, Brooks approach. You can see howling wind off the left. Well, did well to control her spin there. Cut back up the hill for birdie.
This is not a golf course to play if you are feeling somewhat fragile with your golf swing. You will be sorely exposed very quickly. Zhang, ideal line to attack the pin on 8.
You're right.
Oh, and that is right. That is great.
Confirmation, by the way, that Caroline Masson has had a bumpy ride in the last 4 holes. She's gone birdie, bogey, birdie, bogey, and is now 3 under and 5 back from our joint leaders, Amy Yang and Shan Feng. A watery grave, unfortunately, Sandy, for Yani at 9.
Yeah, she was so uncomfortable over that tee shot. She was going back and forwards between clubs and a lot of discussion, and it was never going to end up well. Anyhow, she's in the water. She's now dropping it for 3. She's going to be 164 from the flag. Howling breeze into her, and the pin is tight front right, so it's not far over the water.
Well, you can't really be looking at the pin here, can you?
She's got to be going out left, I think, to the meat of the green.
That's where that green side bunker is. You can see to the left of the flag fluttering. Left edge of that. Also what the lie's like. Talking earlier how you can have a very good lie and a very bad lie within a club length of each other. This Bermuda grass. Pete Godfrey was caddying for Area Jatanagan last week, and now he's got Yanni Seng this week.
.164 with a 6-iron just to the left of the flag. It's pretty good if it's the right club.
It's the right club, but it was hard to get any kind of spin from that, and that will scuttle on. Ooh, look at that putt coming back for a par.
Yeah, it was about as good as she could do from there. You could hear that club just turn over in the thick rough.
Yeah, it was always going to release. It was always going to be a fairway from the pin, but the good thing is it's dry, unlike her drive. Brooke Henderson from long range had a little bit more right to left in mind, but we'll safely give her that one.
Eagle chance and the outright lead opportunity for Shan Shan. It's a tap-in birdie. A few of our crew this week were touting Shan Shan as the player to watch out for.
And that is 3 on the bounce. Shan Shan leads by 1 from Amy Yang.
Candy Kung for birdie, back up the slope. Similar line to Brooks. Interesting outcome there. Brooks tapering off a little bit differently to Candy.
Centre of the fairway, here's Ko.
132 with a 6-iron. This is hanging a little bit left and come up shy. To tell you the strength of this wind.
Blame the caddy.
Here's Hannah Zhang at the 8th for her birdie. Wonderful approach. She moves to -2 now. There's that smile that we've become so used to over the last couple of years. And Hannah is now within 4 of the lead.
Phoebe Yao, best finish so far this year, second in January on the TLPGA. On Never in Doubt though, tracking along quite nicely, 4 under par, 2 off the lead.
Still not a blemish on the card of Phoebe Yao yet. Candy to tidy up for her par. She remains 6 back. At present, we have 18 players within 4 shots of the lead, so plenty of red figures despite the testing conditions. Opportunity for Minjee Lee to put another one on her card. Remember that start she had. She made a birdie at the first, an eagle at the second. And again, another case, and that's the second time I've seen it from Minjee, where she had the line just exactly right, but not quite the pace.
Once she gets the measure of these greens, it gets the pace, then she could be lurking with intent lead.
Well, it's a good-looking leaderboard up the top, isn't it? The world number 9, Amy Yang, and the world number 14, Shan Shan Fang. And they have the lead at the moment, and they've stretched it out to par at 9, up the slope to here, down the slope from there. And she will limit the damage to 1, and all things considered, that's not so bad.
Yeah, that tee shot went well into the water hazard. It's completely unsettled, but just one the shot dropped. Amy Azado into 11, howling downwind at the moment.
just couldn't check it. Had she been able to check it, she'd have a very realistic birdie opportunity coming. IK has been able to go to school a little bit on Yanni's putt. Not exactly the same putt, but she'll get some idea of the line, some idea of the pace. And after all of that, she almost landed in the same spot.
She'll give Yanni a very nice read in return.
Impressive clubhouse here at Miramar. It sits up on the hill and overlooks the vistas of this wonderful golf course. Great views of both the 9th and 18th greens, and indeed the whole golf course. Good 2-putt from Inkum Kim from around about 30 feet or so, even though she's not overly happy, but she'll be happy with the way things are tracking, especially over the last couple of weeks. So will her bank manager.
Well, trying to tidy up for her bogey, Yanni Tseng. Be a very nice 2-putt. No trouble there. 12 missed cuts so far this year for Yanni. Been a bit of a tricky one. Troubles off the tee. You just can't afford to miss fairways on the LPGA. The rough is too punishing.
A moment ago, we saw that golf ball of Jaime Azado just scoot straight through to the back, but she's come up with a delightful little pitch there. And she should be able to make her par and maintain her standing as equal third at 4 under. The former world number 1, now the world number 99 on the Rolex rankings. Interesting caddy backing off there. She was a bit worried, I think, about the breeze, and the caddy said, I still like it.
Yeah, it's just all about being confident out there today. You know, the club can change in a matter of seconds. And I think it was a good choice after all there. Good job, caddy.
He was right.
Sometimes as a player, you just need permission to back off when the conditions do change. You don't want to see too much of it because it stretches out play, obviously, but just getting the nod to do so can really help settle you.
So from off the short stuff, Brooke Henderson has not such a bad angle to come in, but it's how the ball is going to behave when it hits the ground. And of course the contact that she gets, the breeze hurting a little off the right, water right. It's a long, narrow green, and she's nearly been blown off her feet. That was a very courageous shot.
That was a great line into a very testing front right hole location on 9. Just pop that one up, let the wind do the work. Take it over to that right-hand side.
Hunter's got a really good chance of getting this one close from that distance.
Well, you'll be hard-pressed to find 3 shots that close, I think, on 9. It's so tricky out there with the wind at the moment.
Well, they're negotiating 9, and not long after that, they'll be heading to this hole, the 10th.
Yeah, 360-yard par 4. Just a gradual rise up towards this green. That bunker on the right in play with a bad shot, but then you get up to this huge green, 37 paces long, 2 large bunkers defending it. Front left, back right, playing 8th today with the pin in that back right corner.
And we mentioned the good views from the clubhouse. This is another opportunity of getting a good view as In Kyung Kim fires away at 10.
Yeah, strong left to right breeze crossing this fairway, but this has just split the centre again. She's driving really well.
Well, we mentioned that she was sneaky long last week. When you hit the ball in the centre of the club face, usually gets a few more yards out of it.
Side door, but good enough, and a good 2-putt after not having much luck with her second shot. She remains -4, 2 back from our joint leaders. Here's one of them ahead at 13, Shan Shan Feng, leading with Amy Yang.
Yeah, a long way back. The pin today on the 13th. Back left corner. Came up short with her second. And a little bit of work left to do for our equal leader.
Pretty good result, though, nonetheless. Lydia, driver in hand at 10.
Just playing this down the left-hand side, and that's a good position. There's loads of room out there.
Putting action coming after some pretty good work from all players here at 9. Brooke Henderson might have been a little unlucky because she had that tiger line going at the pin. And you can see from the change in colour that she sat right up on the top of that ledge. Maybe she could have got a little bit of assistance with an ounce of luck. So we know that this is going to be rapid. And that'll test her will on the way back. A bit more rapid than she thought.
Well, the last one went right into the water. This is going way left. Way left. It's going to miss the fairway by a lot.
Well, it's missed the fairway, but it's in not too much trouble as they embark on a very difficult 9, playing a shot harder than the front 9.
Hannah Jang for a downhill left to right birdie chance here on the 9th hole. Not happy over that one. Important to widen your stance a little bit when it's so windy, especially on putts. You can get a little knocked off your feet when the wind gets up. Just needed a little bit more petrol in the tank, but it will be a tap in par for the South Korean.
Well, I haven't seen many birdies at all on the 9th hole, apart from the young Chinese Taipei player, Xin Yin Ye. Very hard to get a 3. Tidy front 9, though, for Hana Zhang, covering it in 34, 2 under.
Not the strength of her game putting. She's 107th on the putting averages. So if that's an area that she can improve upon over the next couple of years, she's going to earn a lot of cash. Things were looking so promising early for Candy Kong. Those 3 birdies in the first 5 holes. So she's going to have to be content with just a 36 and even par. And that 6th hole really brought things unstuck. Get in the jungle here, you're going to pay a price.
Or get bitten.
Yes, or both.
So they've discovered a python here, and they have a few pythons and slimy reptiles when we go to Sime Derby, the LPGA Malaysia, in a few weeks' time.
Well, they also have a few other little interesting critters around the course here.
Yes. we're just about to, hopefully we might see some mole crickets here. I know the green staff haven't got any interest in catching them.
More on the mole cricket shortly. Brooke Henderson for her par from a testing distance. Well, she was aggressive with her second and looked as though she'd given herself a really good chance. As I said, I think she was just a little unlucky that she hung up on the ridge. And when you're at the top of the ridge, you know one thing, it's going to be fast down to the hole.
Well, that's 2 3-putts on the card so far for Brooke Henderson.
And a missed putt for Shan Fang. Got a chance to catch up with her and ask about her putting earlier this week. And if she says she has a tendency to aim left and then to push the blade through in order to get it back on line. And that's something that she is working on.
In Kyung Kim on the par 4 10th, back up the hill.
156 for IK, and that's going pretty much straight at the flag. Good looking shot if it lands well.
Landed well, sit down. Bold and aggressive.
Hard to stop when the breeze is at your back, and it's... Well, we'll check in with Sandy because Sandy can tell us. Is it directly at their back, Sandy, or a bit off their left?
It's a little bit off their left, helping them, but you're not feeling a lot from ground level. There's a big bank of trees to the side. They know it's there. It's just blocking it out a little bit. 140 to the pin for Lydia. She's got an 8-iron.
Really interesting to have a look at the numbers she hits with her clubs as well. 135 with this club is her normal distance.
Nice easy swing from Lydia, starting out the right, trying to come back. It's going to hold up out there.
Wow. Well, it was 140, 135.
Could have done with 7 and maybe even 6 after the result that she had.
Now Yanni.
Yeah, well, Yanni's going to have to use the best of her baseball swings here. She's hanging on the bank. Her feet are way below the ball. She's really going to have to hang on to this coming through it. She's only 115. Of course, she's coming in from a difficult side as well because the bunker is blocking her out from a view of the pin.
And she's got the added issue, Sandy, of, as you've described many times around this golf course, sometimes you can pull a good lie in the rough and sometimes the ball just sits right down, and unfortunately Yanni's got the latter.
Yeah, it took me a little while to find it over there when I went for a look. So it's not a good lie. She's got to try and play this out to the right of the green. Just something near the front would be good. Contact is good. Oh, this is going left. Way left. Well, that was different, but I'll race over and see what I can find out.
That's all right. It's pin height. The uphill slope helped get that up in the air as well. Landed it softly.
So things have become a little testing for Yanni. Not only in recent years, but in recent holes here in our opening round coverage of the Fubon LPGA Taiwan Championship. Wonderful to have your company right around the world. Hello to all of our friends through the Golf Channel in the United States. Hope you're enjoying the action. Probably still basking in the glory after the Ryder Cup. What a competition.
Summer.
Yes. Amy Yang had -6 as our outright leader after Shan. Made a bogey there at 13. So the beautiful swinging Korean Amy Yang leads the field in round 1 in Taipei.
The morning cup of coffee. It's the last thing you want the guy driving ahead of you to drop in his lap. Thankfully, you drive the Kia Optima with available autonomous emergency braking. It helps prevent life's little accidents from becoming accidents.
Mike Quinn.
That can kind of shoot the club forward into the ball and cause you all sorts of troubles. That was nicely done there by Lydia, below the hole.
And the answer to your question, Kate, how much do they get to practice that, is not much if the course superintendent has his way.
What's your relationship like with the course superintendent at your home club?
In Kyung Kim from beyond the hole. So she can give this one a bit of a wrap. Good stroke.
Something we noticed a lot about In Kyung last week. She didn't leave herself too many testy par saves. It was very solid tee through the green. Very impressive showing, particularly on day 3. What a way to finish off a tournament.
And she just looks like one of those prestige cars that maybe has a little bit of an issue with the engine at times and just splutters a bit, and all of a sudden you make some little tiny adjustment here and there, and then you're cruising again. And that's, I didn't see her last week. You guys saw her in Beijing, but she's got the look of the old In Kyung Kim about her.
And she's a very smart, methodical player around the golf course. Her caddy just gives her the number and the distance, and she chooses the club. He never selects the golf club. That's Cheeseburger Chad. And so it's a unique relationship, because a lot of the time the player and the caddy will discuss the actual club that they're going to hit. She just wants the numbers.
And another one goes by the board. Back-to-back bogeys for Yanni. Cheeseburger Chad. You don't hear a lot in the caddy ranks of, say, Lentil Lenny or Vegetarian Victor, do you?
I think there might be a few dumpling Dannies out there this week, though.
Yeah, I don't think he's too au fait with the vegetables around this part of town.
That's a tap in for I.
Well, look out for Lentil Lenny.
Well, Lydia Stills left herself some work to do to remain at even par. Birdie at the second, double bogey at 5, and then a birdie at 7 on her scorecard so far. 20 under par was her winning score last year, where she lapped the field, beat Eun-hee Ji and So Yeon Yu. And that's nicely done from that distance there at 10. So she's having a bit of a nothing day so far, but it doesn't take too many holes for this young lady to make an impression.
Good chance to take the outright lead for Shan Shan on 14. Oh, and another putt goes begging.
Well, it's the first par of the back 9 for Shan Shan Fung. 3 birdies, a bogey, and 3 there on 14.
Bogey at 9, bogey at 10. Yani Singh finds herself 8 shots adrift of the lead. And she'll be anxious to do well. Well, she always is every time she tees it up, but in particular in this week when she's playing in front of her home galleries.
But it's surprising, isn't it, that Yanni has been invited here as a sponsor's invite. A player that dominated the rankings back in 2010, 2011. Of course, you want her here. She completes the tournament here in Chinese Taipei.
Well, you couldn't have a tournament in this part of the world without her playing one way or the other. So from off the beaten track, Hannah Zhang just trying to control her second shot into 10. Pins up in that back right corner. So she's playing for the release, and she's going to get it. And again, she got the downslope, just as she did at the back of 6. And she's got the shoulder of that bunker, and it's shot it forward too.
Yeah, an extra yard or two, and that would have been pretty tasty there for Hannah Zhang.
Well, this is a lovely par 4. There are a smattering of trees on the right-hand side that you have to watch out for. So best take it down the left to give yourself a good look at the green. Hole today is cut at the very front. It's 6 paces on and 6 from the right. At the front of the green, the grade is down, so it's fast if you're at the very front of the green. Yielded a fair number of birdies, 21, so playing well under its par.
Only 2 and 12 are playing easier on the golf course today.
Big tail breeze behind Inkung here, and she's just playing left centre. It's going to be perfect position.
Downwind, 16 downwind today, but the other holes on the back 9 presenting some sort of task, and that's the reason that Kate was saying before. It's a difficult assignment, the back 9.
Well, what can she do with this approach? Needs it to sit. Got a little check on it. It's not a bad spot to be. The back on the 10th.
Back on the tee. Going with driver for Ko.
Well, this is much tighter down the right-hand side for Lydia. Just flirting with those trees.
So she'll need to pay that one a bit of attention from the rough on the right-hand side. Candy needs to get things back on an even keel. Here she is with her second shot at the 10th. And a good recovery. Still some work to do, though.
Well, driving has not been good to her. This is no better. This is going way right over towards the hedge. It's going to be in a lot of trouble.
I hope it has stayed up somehow. She had a string of 9 consecutive missed cuts this season. Is she going to reload? No.
Yeah, I think so. This is the time where it starts getting in your head. If you want to join the conversation, Fubon LPGA is the hashtag on Twitter. Lots of other ways you can join the conversation as well on social media through Facebook and Instagram.
Well, this one won't go right. Oh, this is way, way left. Don't know if she's going to pick up fairway. I doubt it.
There's not 2 left. It's okay. That's in play. She started working with Gilchrist about 3 weeks ago. Has had 1 lesson, and they've been working on her backswing in particular. So there's work to do, but she won 22 times with him. So good they're back together again.
Young Park got off to a red-hot start on her front 9. 3 birdies out in 33. Oh, that one just coming up shy. Will be around a 4 under par for Hee Young Park. Got off to a very nice start. 3 under par, I should say.
I think any player out of the golf course right now, if you could give them a score of 69, I'd be very happy.
Oh, yeah. Especially with the topsy-turvy nature of that scorecard that Hee Young's had. Hannah Zhang, just from the fluffy rough here, she's coming up the slope at 10. and had the line perfect. So that should be no damage done for Hannah. 2 wins at the start of the year, and just looked as though she was going to set the standard. She and Haru Nomura were the hot players early in the year. They were winning everything between them.
Outside birdie chance for Kung on 10. It's going to come up the slope then run away. That did everything but go in.
Well, it would have been a pretty cheeky birdie from over in that right sand off the tee.
It was an aggressive approach from Brooke Henderson, as if to show perhaps a little bit of anger at what happened at the previous hole on the green. But she's got the chance of making that a distant memory here. This for birdie. She has spoken about that ice hockey background and how much it's helped her as a golfer, helped with her strength a bit.
Yes, because she took up the game at a relatively late age of 3. So she hasn't had much time to play. She's only 19 now. Remarkable, isn't it? When you look at players like Miriam Lee, took up the game and she was 11. An 8-year advantage on her.
A par then for Hannah Jang, and hopefully the same for Candy Kung to remain at even par at 10.
And it's interesting you mentioned, Brooke's hockey background as well. She spent a lot of time in goalie. Said it helped her in high pressure situations. You're either the hero or the villain.
Well, speaking of heroes, Sakura Yokomine of Japan has made a significant move here. She's picked up an eagle at the 12th and a birdie at the 15th. So she's 3 under par for her last 4 holes, and all of a sudden finds herself up at the top with Amy Yang, Shan Feng and Ai Miyazato. So Japan, Korea, China and Japan represented at the top of the leaderboard. Of course, the Koreans are poised to pounce, as too is the Spaniard in Beatrice Ricari and Leanne Pace, who always enjoys her week here in Taipei. This is the opening round of the Fubon LPGA Taiwan Championship, and we hope you're enjoying it too.
Opportunities aren't always obvious. Sometimes they just drop in. CME Group can help you navigate risks and capture opportunities. We enable you to reach global markets and drive forward with broader possibilities. CME Group, how the world advances.
Tanagan have been the dominant forces in women's golf, and there's only 83 points separating them. Brooke Henderson, look how far behind she is, and she's had a pretty good year. All of those people except Stacey Lewis are all winners this year, but it's been Lydia versus Area, and they will go to the CME Tour Championship in Naples, Florida, where the points will be reset. So it's not exactly a done deal for Lydia Ko and Area Jutanagan. Someone might be able to come back from a different position, but it's been fantastic. And Lydia, well, she has been carrying all before her over the last couple of years with victories in the race to the CME Globe, and she's poised to pounce and looking good, firing on all turbines is Lydia Ko.
Yes, 3 in a row, 3 bonus checks of $1 million. Gotta believe it's possible.
Those wind turbines are certainly going to get a bit of a working out today. Inkum Kim second to 11.
1.285k, but this is a really tough shot with this howling breeze is really making this tough here.
Yeah, so hard, Sandy, to know just how tough the breeze or how strong the breeze is going to be, and she was working on that and leaving it short. And Lydia gets up and plays quickly.
116, and again coming up very, very short out of the rough. Very tough to judge today.
And it's easy to understand why these players are coming up short, because anything beyond that pin, there is a significant runoff in the middle of the green.
Well, Yanni's tee shot, her first tee shot went right.
And she was incredibly lucky. She did not bounce into the hedge.
Well,
Changed the club a number of times, just trying to punch that out towards the green. It's okay, there were overhanging branches. She's up around the green. It's running off into the bunker, though, I think, but look at it.
Yanni trying to steady the ship. This is where a good caddy will help. And she's got a good guy on the bag this week, Pete Godfrey.
second to 13 now for Ai Miyazato. And the pin is tantalisingly tucked away over that bunker in the back left corner. It's a very difficult pin to get to there. Now here's Paula Creamer. First time we've seen the star from the United States today. Second shot at the par 5 12th. Moving along nicely too, and that's in good shape. Opportunity for the American to get to within one of the lead. There's Collins still on the bag. Like an old married couple they are, that's what they say.
There's a few out here. Lizette Salas choosing to come in from the right side of the fairway. Two distinct parts to playing this hole. Tough hole today, the hardest at the moment, and those are two good shots. Pin high on 13, outside chance. Any player will be happy with a par on 13 today.
It's averaging nearly 0.4 above its par. Pretty tidy from Lydia. That'll still get her full attention though.
First look at Sandra Gall, the tall German player. Sit down. That's going to be a tester. You have to go with a wedge. Contours of the green will factor that ball.
And the breeze at their backs for the second shot at 13, so that adds to the difficulty when you've got that pin placement up in that back left corner. See if Yanni can get up and down. She's ranked 81st in sand saves on the tour this year. She should be a lot better than that after what she's come up with.
That's a great shot, and that will be a tap-in for a par. It's been an adventurous 11th for Yanni. Well, she's kept this putter. Changed putters a few times this year. Lizette Salas, it's the big, heavy mallet. Oh, nearly using it to very good effect.
Just missing the green at 11. In Kyung Kim doing something she's done very well and very effectively over the last few weeks in particular. And she'll scramble a par. We talked about it being 6 years since she won on the LPGA Tour, which is something of a misleading stat because of that win that she had on the European Tour just prior to going to Rainwood. Pretty important few holes coming up here for Ai Miyazato. She's not been up at the top of the leaderboard for a little while now, and just to be able to hold it together at the end of the first round and stay around about that 3 or 4 under mark is really important for her in a tough stretch of holes coming in.
Especially when she's not a long player, so she uses a lot of woods around the golf course, rescue hybrid, and that naturally makes the ball go high, which you don't want in these windy conditions. Very hard to control the ball.
Let's see what Paula can come up with her third shot at 12. Her day has been like this. She made a birdie at the second. She made a birdie at 8. She made a birdie at 11. No blemishes on her card so far. The world ranking is now 83 on the Rolex World Rankings. Major champion, of course. And that's good touch. She would have liked it a little closer than that from that range.
Bogey putt for Miyazato. This drops back to 4 under. If you look at her year, there's been a number of missed cuts. She has had a low round, though, 64 early on in May. So she can go low.
Oh, yeah, just a par. Yeah. Adventurous, yes, but still a 4. Let's have a look over the last hour or so and see what's been going on. And here is Ai Miyazato with her birdie opportunity at the 10th. The former world number 1, now the Rolex world number 99.
8th hole, Hana Zhang is 1 under up until this point. It was a superb drive, set herself up beautifully for the approach. She liked it, and for good reason too. She went on to birdie, got to 2 under through 8 holes.
A lot of people thinking that Shan Feng might be one of the dominant forces this week, and with play like this, you can understand why. This is her 3rd at the par 5 12th. And that set up a birdie, which was birdie 10, birdie 11, birdie 12 for the Chinese start.
And hailing from Chinese Taipei, Phoebe Yao. Very good birdie putt on 12. A great start to her campaign.
Long range for eagle at 12 for Ai Miyazato. And gave it a good shot at going in. And that birdie would keep her up in the challenge for the top of the leaderboard. That's what's been going on over the past hour or so of our coverage. Back to the action now at the 11th. We've seen some very aggressive plays from the young Canadian so far today, and not for the first time. They're coming up short at 11, and Kate explained the reason why.
Don't want to run past that pin too much. Mi Hyung Lee, birdie chance at 9. Rare to see these. Such an exposed part of the golf course.
This is for 68.
Oh, after hitting such a brave second shot in. Still a par though. One of the hardest holes on the golf course, and she will feel very good after a round of 69, 3 under.
And she was 2 over after 2. Bogey 10, bogey 11. So that is a really good fight back from Mi Hyung Lee. And a pretty good result from Candy Kong as well.
Anna Nordqvist for birdie on 12 over the back. Usually a strength of her game. Her putting, such a consistent force. She's only missed 3 cuts in the last 4 years, Anna Nordqvist. So you could say she's the epitome of consistency.
And that consistent play makes her number 1 in greens in regulation as well. So very solid golfer. Driving the ball well today, Hana Zhang. Another wedge in hand to attack these par 4s. That's good. That's all right there with that front hole location. You can see just beyond it runs away.
It's a funny thing about having so much wind out on the golf course. You think front hole location, easy pin, but when it's downwind like that, it's so hard to control the spin on the green.
This putt for Paula Creamer then to add another red figure to her card. And if she can, she will move to within 1 shot of the lead. looking very fit, Paula Creamer at present. Not that she's never looked any other way, but she looks exceptional, in exceptional shape at the moment.
Yeah, no, she did some martial arts training over the last few years in her workouts. Obviously paying off there for Paula Creamer.
Sparring with, say, young Kim?
Better not.
I don't even want to take her on.
Minjie Lee having to come out of the rough with her second shot at 13, and she's got no snack with her third. Shoulder of the bunker will come into play there with that little pitch.
Well, she came up a little short here on the front of 11. Just needs to land this on the slope, let it roll up to that pin. Oh, well, certainly gave it a good run there. Brooke Henderson seems to be more comfortable with the club in hand at the moment than her putter, perhaps.
Miriam Lee. Very good performance last week.
Not so good so far today. That gets her back to 1 over. She had a double bogey at the 8th, which really hurt her score.
Yes. You can see the different colours on the green. That's the grain of the green. It's certainly a factor this week, the grain, these Bermuda greens.
A little double breaker there for Candy Kung. Yeah, it's interesting with the grain. Beware the downhill, downgrain, downwind putt. I think that might have been what caught Brooke Henderson out actually on the front of 9, but you really have to measure your pace control, perhaps even a foot or so less. It just keeps on rolling out.
And this will be a fast putt for Hana Zhang. I stood here a couple of days ago, Ali, in the practice round, and this was down grain, this particular part of the green.
It is interesting how as the day goes on as well, the grass follows the sun. So a putt that's into the grain at one moment can be down grain or side grain a few hours later. It's just an extra calculation a lot of the girls have to bring into play.
It's not hard enough already out there. These very testing conditions. We've grown accustomed to the wind. When the tournament was held at Sunrise a few years ago, I thought we were all going to be blown off course, including this commentary box. Our players were still standing up was a bit of a miracle.
Only 2.5 feet or so for Brooke. Should be a formality. Just to remain 4 shots back from the lead. And she's just being careful with the wind gusting.
Can't help but feel she's left a few shots out on the golf course already, Henderson. Striking the ball so well on the par 5 on the front line of 6, walked away 3-putted for a 5. And she gets her game going. Big threat.
And we know one thing about her, she likes to play aggressively. And it's a characteristic of the younger players. I think of Charlie Hull, who comes onto the scene and just goes, she's only got 2 speeds, I think, flat out and stop. And that's the way they like to play, the younger generation. That's the way they approach a lot of things in life. And it's obviously working.
Could maybe do with a bit of faster play out here.
Yokomine, 17, playing 150 yards today, pin on that front left section. Another Japanese player with beautiful tempo, nice long swing, not dissimilar to Ai Miyazato, in fact.
At some stage throughout the week, we will ask her how she says her name, because there are about 5 different ways of getting it done. And so Yokomine, whatever you like, she's the leader, and she leads by 1 from Shan Fang and Amy Yang at 5 under. But there are plenty of players prowling behind them, including the lady known as the Pink Panther, Paula Creamer. She's put herself into contention on day 1 in Taipei.
Well, not a bad spot to come in from, nonetheless.
And you saw the golf balls of her playing companions, Lydia Ko and In Kyung Kim, both eagle putts coming for them. Sakura Yokomine having a very good day, as is Sandy McKenzie. Her day has just got a whole lot better because she just joined us in the commentary box. She looked just a little warm.
I am so pleased there's no camera in this commentary box. I am hot, sweaty, and I've got terrible hat hair. It's exhausting out there. That wind is blowing an absolute gale. Tough conditions, Stone. I'm very happy to be in here with you, Pete and Ali.
Lovely to have you in here too. Have a drink of water. In fact, have several.
I think I will.
Can't miss the sponsor's name there with Sakura. Well, what about the day that Shan Fang has had so far as she puts herself in contention?
This on the 6th for Shan Chan's 3rd birdie of the day. Started the hole very nicely. That one rolling just by. But that was for eagle. She did tap in for birdie.
And she started it off in the best of fashion by making a birdie at the first, a birdie at the second, then that birdie at 6 that we just saw her set up, and then she was able to get the club selection just right. Had enough on the putter there to get it in at the 10th.
Well, she was putting a nice little streak together. This for, for eagle, but it would set up her 3rd birdie in a row on the back 9, firing out on the backside here at Miramar Golf Club.
Just a little bump on the following hole with a bogey for Shan, but she is still within 1 of the lead. Sakura Yokomine is the leader at 6 under. Amy Yang has gone about her business quietly and methodically as she normally does. She's just come up with a bogey, by the way, at the 5th hole, which has taken her back to 5 under the card. There are some of the other big names, major champions in Hyoji Kim and Paula Creamer and Eun-hee Ji. And the young lady from Chinese Taipei, Phoebe Yao, up with them, along with Anna Nordquist and Hannah Zhang at 2 under, 4 shots back from the lead.
This is our second last group. I've been, of course, out with them for half a dozen holes, and I don't know, ideally would love to see Yoni put that driver back in her bag. It has caused her no end of grief. The rest of her game's good, but she's just putting herself in such diabolical positions off the tee. Just off the front hedge here at 12, pin all the way back left.
Her putter's actually been pretty good for her this year. She's in the top 20 in putts per greens in regulation average. So as you said, Sandy, that her problems have been at the other end of the hole.
Yeah, she's just not giving herself a chance for any birdie. She's struggling on most holes to make par because she's coming from such difficult positions.
Well, Amy Yang got off to a very nice start, turned in 33, picked up a few birdies on the way through. This is for bogey, however, on 6, and that's back-to-back bogeys for Amy Yang as she tumbles down that leaderboard. Very costly in that part of the course. We have seen so many issues out on 5, 6, 7 today.
Yes, I got that lovely stretch of holes out there. They were giving me a workout. I was all over the place looking for balls.
Join the conversation if you want to. Hashtag Fubon LPGA on Twitter. You can also join us through Facebook, of course, Instagram, all sorts of ways of keeping in touch. And don't forget to check in with the LPGA website as well, lpga.com, where you'll find out all of what's going on with this tournament, with the players and everything to do with the women's game.
Well, it has been an interesting day for Lydia Ko so far. A couple of birdies, that double bogey that she took, the bogey she took on the fifth hole. It was double bogey, wasn't it? She lost a ball off the tee. So, but you just got to admire the way she gets herself around this golf course. I mean, she makes a mistake and she just gets on with it. She's so calm, and it's one thing that makes her such a good player. Very patient. This for eagle.
And that's what separates sports people, not only golfers, but sports people at the top level, their ability to put things in compartments. Once it's in the past, you can't do anything about it. Now, it's easier said than done to say forget about what you've just done, but the top players and the top people in sport are able to do that better than other people.
Well, it's amazing how you see some players, you know, they make a double bogey and then they just become quite flustered, and the next tee shot's probably usually fairly ordinary and they're just, you know, feeling very anxious. And gosh, she's such a cool character out there. She's always relaxed, has a bit of a chat, a bit of a smile. You really wouldn't know what she's doing on the golf course.
It's not too dissimilar from the current temperament of this lady on screen as well, In Kyung Kim. She's looked very balanced out on the golf course the last 3 starts.
Yeah, well, she was so good last week. It was an incredible win, and she played well at Evian. You know, a really low score to shoot her up the leaderboard, just playing into some seriously good form. She looks great out there. Now this, again, for eagle.
And to move to within 2 of the lead. In fact, with Sakura now having got it to 6 under again, this will be to get to within 3. And it's tough to get it all the way up that slope.
Yeah, it's a pretty steep rise coming all the way up this green. It's one of the smaller greens on the golf course, but it does sit into this bank, and it's a little bit of a climb. Often hard to commit yourself to hitting it that firm up the hill. The last thing you want is about a 4 or 5 footer coming back. But I can't tell you how windy it is. If you look at the palm trees when we take a longer shot, just leaning over, it's incredibly strong. You can see them there in the background. Then all of a sudden you'll hit a patch where you can see the others. There's big banks of trees. So it's very hard to judge some of these shots in, because you know the wind's there, but in certain places on the course you're not feeling it.
Lots of weather events going on in this part of the world at the moment. The tour moves to South Korea next week, and the people there are experiencing some dreadful and catastrophic weather at the moment.
That could be the first red figure for Yanni.
And it's not only in Asia where weather is a factor. Our friends in Florida, in the United States, are also suffering a buffeting at the moment. I think the LPGA office may have actually been evacuated. So our thoughts are with everyone right throughout the world as they try and endure what has been some incredible weather.
Paula Creamer to get to 4 under par. It's tracking, doesn't have the legs. Just trucking along nicely. No bogeys on the card so far for Paula. It's the kind of round you want to have in these conditions. You don't want to give yourself too many testy par saves in the wind.
In Kyung Kim for birdie to go -2. Anything in the red today, I think, will be a really good score, because this is incredibly tough. It's quite funny. You can see the girls out there with the long hair. They've either tied it down with a lot of elastic bands, or it's tied up on the top of their head, because it's a heck of a day for a long hairdo. She has the look of someone playing very, very well.
And it's a look that she hasn't had for a long time. She just looked a little indecisive on the course at times in recent years, but that's all behind her now. Shan has been pretty good from long range.
Yeah, not so good from that range in recent times. Bit of a tester there to save par on 17 for Shan.
And a tap-in birdie for Lydia Ko to get it back into red figures.
Miyazato, second shot at 15. And of course, this is my first look at Ai. It's fantastic to see Ai back in the mix. She's a wonderful player. She has been struggling the last few years. Putting has not been a particular joy. She was a brilliant putter, and once that goes off the ball for a very good putter, life becomes very difficult.
Well, speaking of putting, we saw her miss a few from around this range in the closing holes last week at Rainwood. She's been working on trying to keep that club face square on the way back and through input.
Caddy Mercer wasn't even watching that. I'm not sure it's because he's watched so many miss lately.
Man with the best name in golf, certainly amongst the caddies, Mercer Lethbridge, who's been associated with Shan for a long time now. Sakura Yokomine, 6 under the card, leads by 1. It's Japan and China showing the way. Leanne Pace, though, has picked up another shot, and she gets it to 4 under, along with Amy Yang and Ai Miyazato. But Sakura's in front, but Shan is lurking ominously, just one back on the opening day at the Fubon LPGA Taiwan Championship.
Every day,
It's more a fully fledged wind. It has been a factor here at the opening day at Miramar. Let's have a look at one of the more challenging holes on the golf course, the 13th, and there are several ways of approaching this tee shot, Sandy.
Oh, yeah, you've got to have a think about this, because you can go out onto that right tongue there, but you can run out of fairway easily at about 230. Left is safe, leaves you a long way away from the green, though. And it's uphill to this green that sits front right across into the back left. Now, this has always been a very firm green. It's one that has been incredibly hard to hold. So trying to pull it up on this green, a bit of a tail breeze will be coming down here today as well. So it's going to be a little bit from their left and helping. So tee shot's the most crucial. A lot of players will play it to the right-hand side, don't just onto that tongue. But be careful, it's not a very big area. Yeah, found that beautifully.
Up ahead at 18. Now this is Sakura Yokomine, and she is about to play what we think is her third shot here at 18.
Just having a little rethink there, just trying to get some sort of rescue electing to go with the iron and just play safely. There's a lot of trouble here, and clearly she's already got caught up, maybe in that very, very thick growth on the edge of the water. Just have to hang on to her hat. The wind is howling down the fairway. It's playing long today. Straight into them. Ball was pretty well above her feet. Always a tendency to pull it left. She's left it hanging well out to the right. Looks like it's laying okay though, and gives herself a clear look at the green.
She'll need to be clever though to get up and down from there and maintain her outright lead.
Back to the 12th. Brooke Henderson's third shot was in the rough off the tee. Had to lay up on the short par 5. This just a little flip wedge. Well, she's below the hole, so it can be aggressive from down there. Really needs to get her round kick started, Brooke.
The breeze centre says it all out there at 13 today. Here's Lydia, driver still in the bag. And that too taken down the right-hand side. So a good angle to come in, but that pin placement on 13, back left corner, that makes life tough. No wonder it's one of the hardest holes on the course.
Yeah, it certainly does. Just a little pitch and run here from Candy Kung. She's assured herself of a birdie on 12. Been around for a lot of years now, Candy, and just keeps popping up.
Now, just to confirm, Amy Yang made par at the previous hole after a bogey at 5, so she is still at -5. And so that's just going to be a par for Amy. Birdie stretch between 2 and 4. So just a little discrepancy on the scores, and we'll confirm those for you shortly.
Hannah Zhang from the back edge of 12. This for eagle. Well, a bit of a misread from the get-go, it seemed like. Wouldn't have thought that putt would move too far left to right, but it will be a tap in for the birdie nonetheless.
Second shot at 13 for In Kyung Kim. 4 back from the lead. So tough. Perched over the back of the bunker. If you go straight at the pin, the shoulder of the bunker can come into play. And that is the percentage play. That is a very good shot. She's going to leave herself a long way from the pin, but can't afford to flirt with going straight at the pin.
Yeah, probably just hoping that one would chase up a bit more. Brooke Henderson, birdie putt at 12 after getting into a little trouble off the tee. No, lets one slide by. I do like the aggressive way Brooke Henderson does putt. Very rarely will she leave a putt short. Always gives them plenty of pace, gives them a chance. So just a par.
Lydia's second into 13. Has quite a nice angle here into that back left hole location. Oh, a bit of an unforced error there for the world number 1. Have to wait and see if that did find the sand or if it held up in the rough on the face.
Meantime, at the daunting 15th, Ai Miyazato with a testing little 4.5 footer, probably not quite as long as she is. Nicely holed. She remains in a group at -4. That confirmation of Amy Yang's score, I might have to unconfirm that. They're having a bit of eeny, meeny, miny, mo with Amy's scores at the moment, but as it stands at present, Yokomine has a 2-shot lead.
Hannah Zhang just holding out there for birdie at the 12th.
Well, she's found the fairway. And those fairways have been few and far between for Yani Tseng today. This on 13, not getting the kick forward there. Bit unlucky, perhaps.
As we mentioned, the lead for Sakura Yokomine is 2 shots. Leanne Pace of South Africa, after a birdie at the 16th, has made her way up into a tie for second, along with Shan Shan Fang, Amy Yang, with those apparent back-to-back bogeys at 5 and 6, and Ai Miyazato has been up there challenging for most of the day. Hee Young Park and Pei Lin Yu have completed their rounds, as have Eunhee Ji and Pei Ying Sai. They'll be pretty happy to be in the clubhouse today. But it is Sakura Yokomine who leads the field. The Japanese is in front. Round 1 of the Fubon LPGA Taiwan Championship.
Finally, tour quality performance and game-changing innovation comes in color. Over 70 professionals have earned 10 victories.
A little bit of green to work with. Needs to pop this in the air. Just trying to do that and got too much of the ball, and if that can stop in the hole. Great shot.
That was, well, it was extraordinary anyhow, but it was really going to be exceptional if she'd hold that.
She certainly had to dig that one out, didn't she?
Oh, gosh, that, you know, to get any control on that was so difficult.
Yeah, just kept that club face open beautifully through impact there.
Actually,
Nice high ball flight.
Surprised Elliott didn't go in. It was going actually quite slowly.
It's pretty unlucky. She'll take up and down nonetheless. On 18, Leanne Pace for birdie and for a share of the lead.
So it's been a very good day for Leanne Pace. And that is a 4 under par round of 68. Again, we're getting just some conflicting signals with the scoring, but we will confirm Leanne's round for you very shortly. In Kyung Kim from long range has putted well from that sort of distance today, but she's just going to have one that'll get her full attention over the last 4 feet or so, and she knows it, looking at her reaction.
I have to say, Pete, this course has really come on. We've had some pretty interesting weather conditions in previous years. It's in beautiful condition out there at the moment. Shan Shan's third at 18. Oh, now that's not going to be easy. As a matter of fact, it's going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, I think she'd take a redo on that one if she could. You mentioned some bad weather, Sandy, and I believe that 9 and 18 were underwater just a few weeks ago here. So getting the course looking like this is absolutely incredible. Testament to the green staff.
Yani was a bit unfortunate that the ball didn't carry on from the shoulder of the bunker, but she's come up with a very good first putt and will only need one more by the look of it. She can do with every par that she gets, and a few birdies on the way home wouldn't go astray either. Bumpy patch 9 and 10 for the former world number 1.
When you watch her, you can, like, it's there. You can just see it, but the inconsistency is incredible at the moment. She's just got to get herself back on track, but there's patches of absolute brilliance in the Yani of old, and then all of a sudden it's just she hits it nearly off the planet. Oh, big gust of wind blowing behind In Kyung Kim. It's been a really good length for her. She's been really solid when she has had a bit of work to do.
Birdie putt on the way for Amy Yang at 8. So she'll remain just one shot back. We know her ability to shoot low. We know her ability to make birdies, Sandy. We were there in Korea when she birdied every hole on the back 9.
Yeah, that was an incredibly special moment, thinking she's 6 in a row. Then we're going, oh my gosh, she's 7 in a row. Oh, she's 8 in a row. And I was down on 18 when she came off, and it was just an extraordinary feat.
This is a case, Ellie, of good luck.
Yeah, I think they call this one hit and hope. Just landing that a bit too far onto the putting surface. It was always going to be tough, but really needed to land that almost just right on the edge of the rough and let it trickle on down.
Causing a lot of problems this 18th today.
Well, it caused one to our leader, Sakura Yokomine, who made a bogey at the 18th, but it was still a 5 under par out of 67. You take that every day of the week in these conditions. Shan Shan Fang right up there near the top as well. Leanne Pace performing well on day 1. Amy Yang of Korea at 4 under, along with Ai Miyazato of Japan and Paula Creamer of the United States. Round 1 in Taipei.
We asked people to write down the
Front, 10 paces on. Kate Burton is with the world number 1.
It's an easy hole location today, and this looks good, but it is so gusty, it is proving incredibly hard to know what club to hit, and that's going to be long. The wind died down.
Snuck over the back into that little bit of fluffy rough, so it'll be a delicate little pitch.
Well, Shan Shan trying to savour her par. Was long with her third shot, and will pay the price here. It'll be a tap-in bogey for Shan Shan.
It's not very often you look at the golf course scoring summary and see that a par 5 is the hardest hole on the golf course. This hole is playing half a shot above its par of 5. It is the hardest hole today.
Amazing, isn't it? It's quite extraordinary. Into the wind and all the trouble around it. Candy Kong second into 13. Back left pin. That's way right. That is a long, long way from... It's getting closer, but still a long, long way from the flag. That'll be a big putt.
Sure, I've seen a lot of 60, 70-foot putts there at 13. See if Hannah Jane can get inside that range. That one also starting at the right centre of the green. No one's got it close there.
Bit of a draw on this ball from Yani Seng, so it's going for the centre of the green. It's going to be fine, but not attacking the pin.
Brooke Henderson, her second into the very tricky par 4 13th. Carry it all the way over that front bunker. Big hop there for Brooke, but that is a very good approach shot. And she'll have a very good look at birdie on 13.
She only knows one way, and that's to take the flag. That approach shot she played at 9 was amazing.
Yeah, which makes her a lot of fun to watch. Very exciting.
Well, of course, some of the local players are experiencing great moments here this week, playing with the great players of the world. And let's check in with some of them. This is Sin Ning Ye. She's got a birdie putt at the 9th. Difficult putt it is because you're coming up over the ridge and then it gets very quick from here. How easy is that from about 70 feet? That's one of the best we've seen all day.
Yeah, that one's absolutely huge. Now, Candy Kong's second shot into the 5th hole. Tricky par 4. Some more trouble on this hole today. Oh, very nice. Got to sit down beautifully. We'll go on to birdie.
Birdie putt here on the par 5 12th for Phoebe Yao, 23-year-old. Never in doubt. Loving playing in front of a home crowd.
And we saw a good moment from Candy just a moment ago at the 5th hole. Here she is at 12, the par 5 of her 3rd shot. And that set up a tap-in birdie for the star from Chinese Taipei. Great to have the experienced players and the young players rubbing shoulders with the best that the game has to offer in the LPGA here this week at Miramar. Paula Creamer has presented a challenge today. She's coming off a birdie at the previous hole, the 14th. She's at this daunting 15th hole, and she's played a beauty.
Yeah, very tricky hole location over on 15, about the size of a centipede man bun over there on the side. Very small landing area.
And Kyung Kim on the 14th. Run it out, just not quite enough, but not bad. She was a long way back in the bunker. Had a lot of carry ahead of her.
Here we go again, putting from 80 feet or thereabouts at 13, and Candy Kung is trying to get it all the way to the hole, and that is the result that we have largely seen with that putt.
Yeah, it's almost as though you need to take a running start at that putt.
I think because this is such a notoriously quick green, the way it runs away into that back left corner, and everybody's a bit worried about getting a little bit too much pace on it because it does have a tendency to pick up pace. Gosh, you can really hear that wind out there now, can't you? It's such a difficult day.
Bit of Happy Gilmore action required there at 13. Now, there's a good prize to be won at 17 from our friends at EVA Air. Aimee Azate looking to see whether she can pop one in. She's got 150 yards to get there. And that's going to be awkward because she's not going to have a lot of green to work with, and everything is downhill.
Well, speaking of difficulty,
Oh, Lydia Ko, always on the card. That's very thick, it's very fluffy, and it is very easy to do just that.
well, back to 13. Can Hannah Zhang get her attempt to the hole? Yeah, read that pace quite nicely there.
Yanni, a little bit of draw off the tee, so found sort of the centre of this green, fair away from the flag, but this is for birdie. She needs one or two.
Brooke Henderson, we haven't seen too many people putting from this close to the hole for birdie at 13. Needs to make the most of it, put a good stroke on it. Well, she gives them a chance of going in nearly every time.
Yeah, she's certainly burnt some edges today, hasn't she? Without really looking like she's mounting a challenge at the moment. But you have to think when that pink putter gets hot, she'll be in the mix come the weekend with that kind of ball striking.
This is for par for Lydia after that fluffy little chip. Club went sort of straight underneath it. There you go. It's an easy way to make cards, just a number on a card.
Well, she did well at 13 to make par. Two very good back-to-back up and downs for Lydia Ko.
And we should mention too that Yanni was able to tap in and make her par as well. Well, it's been an adventure for Candy today. Back to even par.
Well, very tricky hole location, but what a beautiful little pitch shot Paula Creamer played to here. Just to try and save par on the downhill par 4, 15th. And that is a world-class up and down there from the Pink Panther.
Well, she's been world-class for a long time. She's number 9 on the all-time money list now, in excess of $11 million. Interestingly, only 207,000 of it coming so far in 2016. Tapping for par for Hannah Zhang. At 13, she does no damage and remains within 2. When she's lurking, a few others get nervous.
Okay, Kim, after a long trap shot to hear this for par, all uphill. Oh, she never had that. As soon as it came off the putter, it was going right.
It appeared to bobble off the face of the putter as well. It just wasn't a good strike.
It did, Pete. So got a nasty little bounce there by the look of it.
Only measures 127, the 14th, but it's challenging.
Yeah, it certainly is, you know, just a mid to short iron for the players, depending on the wind. There is a massive bunker over on that left side, and it's one of the deeper ones out on the golf course. Very hard-packed sand. The pin today over on that front right section, just a few paces of green behind it. We saw from Lydia Ko's chip shot just a few moments ago.
Yeah, nice safe shot from Hannah Zhang. So she has that for a birdie.
Now we're going across to 9, which is the final hole for Amy Yang today. Let's have a look at her scorecard. She made 3 birdies on her outward 9, beginning at 10 today. She made birdies at 11, 12 and 16. Then she made birdies at 2, 3 and 4. Bogeys at 5 and 6. So it's been an adventure.
Keeping this one low out of the wind. And they're the kind of shots that you try and teach people when the wind gets high, that really nice controlled low shot, using the body well, using the big muscles to control the yardage.
Amizato in a horrible position here at 17. It was laying down in very thick rough, no room to work with, down slope, and it's downhill all the way. So hard one to get right, and no wonder I had a little bit of trouble with it.
Well, there's a few being challenged on the way into the clubhouse here, regardless of which side of the course you started on. Brooke Henderson has seen the line that Hannah Zhang has been able to take. She'll go straight at the flag, we know that. And she's come up shy.
Back on 17, I now for par. After having quite a degree of difficulty with that little pitch. Come on. It is going to be a drop shot for Amizato. So back to -3. Still a good solid round of golf.
3 of the last 4 holes are ranked in the top 6 hardest holes on the golf course. That's the daunting assignment they face coming in.
Yeah, it's interesting given the wind position on each hole. That can change quite quickly as well, turning the hard holes into the easier holes. That one tracking straight at it on 14 for Candy Kung.
Here's the world number 1, Lydia Ko, defending champion, tee shot at 15 from the elevated tee.
This ball is in the air and is going to have hang time. It's fine, it's down the right side, but my goodness me, she's got a long second.
Oh, that is a long way back.
We talked about the toughness of the finishing holes, and there aren't any tougher than this one, especially with the breeze always a factor.
Well, you are on an extremely elevated tee, and then, of course, with the breeze blowing into them here, hitting out there, the ball just hangs. It's hard to get it to drill through the air. No fairway bunkers on this hole, but you must find the fairway itself because difficult green. You see the water all the way up there, and it sits front right into the back left. The pin today is just over the water, very, very tight on that left-hand side, just 4 paces on. Into this breeze, that makes it a very difficult assignment to judge your shot in.
Yokomine and Hyoju Kim amongst the only players to make birdie here today.
Great shot from Yang. She's going to outdrive Lydia Ko by 20 yards at least.
And it's nice to see one with the driver hit the centre of the fairway.
late lunchtime for Lydia and Jason as they go to the goodies in the bag. It's amazing some of the things that they carry in golf bags.
Oh, that's going to be a bit nasty and a very bad angle depending on how it's laying, because the water's right in front of her and the pin's just on the other side, so that's going to be tough.
Minjee Lee for birdie at 16 to get her into red figures. Not to be. She'll remain level par for the round.
Just had the one birdie so far on the back nine, and that would be an expected birdie at the 12th, but she's had a couple of bogeys at 11 and 14 as well. Brooke Henderson, the tee shot coming up surprisingly shy. So she's going to walk off with a 3, no damage done.
It always looks as though Brooke's missing a lot of putts, but it is also because of how many greens in regulation she's hitting, and she's just not quite getting it consistently inside that 15-foot mark at the moment. So she's giving herself a bit of work to do on the greens, yet to convert too many of those.
She's 36th in putting averages, 25th in putting averages for greens in regulation, so that number comes down. Candy Kong just shaving the edge of the hole again. Uh-oh. Well, that's just a little lapse in concentration, and that's all it takes.
Birdie putt for Amy Yang across the green at 9. 9 would be a good pickup birdie today into this breeze. Makes it very tough. So it's going to be just a par for Amy.
And a 68. So a very pleasing result in the opening round. She's only won twice, and that mystifies a lot of people with the talent that she's got. But she is so often in contention. And yet again, she builds the platform to launch something on this Thursday. To move to within one of the lead. Never quite the right line from that distance.
Well, what a shot Lydia Ko has. 171 yards. I'm just trying to hold my hat on my head because I nearly blew into the pond a second ago.
Yeah, you can really hear the wind there, Kate. It is absolutely howling, and that makes this shot that's difficult much more difficult. And Lydia seems to be a long way back.
Front, right, front, 58. You don't want to go through. 58 front, so that's going to play 78. Is the front number?
Well, I need to land on that TV show.
Yeah, okay.
So they're thinking effectively a 2-club win.
Oh, it definitely is, Pete, when you stand out there.
Yeah, it's a hair. Keep it down. Yeah, okay.
The breeze will be absolutely howling straight into her.
Jason Hamilton telling her to keep it down, and she has done that. I mean, it's a great looking shot. Got to come in from the right. Oh.
Beautifully done. Beautifully executed shot. Exactly what she was after.
Paula Creamer's second into 16. 374 today. Back up the hill with your second shot.
And dead set down breeze too.
Yeah, so many of those little chip shots just out of that Bermuda grass are going to be so tricky out there with not a lot of swing to play with, really.
Well, Yanni has 148 to the green, to the pin, directly into the breeze. Needs to control this, is also punching it. Oh, that looks long and left. Hold your line.
And, well, it does. It's on. Should have been holding a breath for a little bit there. But putting for birdie on what is an extremely difficult hole today. And this one of IK Kim's, it has a lot of difficulty about it.
Well, it certainly does. She's got to fly it over the pond. The board is sitting down. It's in the rough. 147 yards. It is gusting so much. This is a higher ball fly and it's leaking right. Needs to hold the green. Oh, got a flyer.
Yeah.
Well, that trap gets such a workout for that very reason on 15.
Coming out of that rough was going to be so hard for her to control that. It's not surprising that that went through, and she's a long way back in that bunker as well, which is going to make it a bit tricky.
So a little bit of work to do for In Kyung Kim, and we'll be back to that at 15 shortly. Let's bring you up to date with the last hour or so of our coverage. And Candy Kong, a bit of an up and down day for one of Chinese Taipei's favourite golfing daughters, but that set up a birdie at the 12th.
China Zhang going along well out in 34, and this for eagle at the 12th. Great shot in she played here. Never had the line on that one, but it was the simplest of birdies, so she picks up another.
Well, Lydia Ko turned in 36. This, such an incredible shot from the front of 13. It was tracking, and it was unlucky, but it would be a par on the 13.
A few changes going on as they head for home because of the difficulty of the stretch, especially if you play the golf course in the conventional fashion. And it is Yokomine leading by 1 from Amy Yang. They're both in the clubhouse. Paula Creamer has the chance to do something about it, but she also has the chance of the golf course coming out and biting her back. Hee Young Park, Beatrice Riccari and Leanne Pace all pretty pleased with their opening day's work in Taipei.
The goal seemed insurmountable.
A little bit on her, and she left herself with a lot of distance into a howling wind with her second shot, but she came up with a very good approach. Outside chance of a birdie, but realistically from here, even if she is the world number 1, I think she'd be happy with 2 putts.
Yeah, I think anybody would be happy with 2 putts or just walking away from this hole with a par today. Into a howling gale, it is not easy. Left herself plenty of work to do with that. Nowhere near the pace.
Well, this hole and 18 have been battling it out for the hardest hole on the golf course. 18 took over that honour a little while ago. 15's got its nose in front again. It's the hardest hole. It is playing 0.48 of a shot above its par.
Well, she's up the right side of 18. Very nice angle in from here, but out of this thick rough, such a tricky task. Aimee Azado. Well, not too bad out of that second cut. Very hard to control the spin with this wind as well.
For birdie. Outside birdie chance for Yanni Singh. Big great birdie on this hole, and she needs to make some. She's at +4. Never looked like it was going to miss.
Just the 5th birdie of the day at the 15th hole. That's like picking up 2 shots to the field.
Yeah, that's a really good result. Just take a look at the face here. I love the reaction of the players. And it was an outside chance. Yes.
A little exhaustion in the eyes there of the former world number one.
Well, she's covered a lot of territory today. That driver has been all over the place.
Now we're going to cover some territory and head over to the 9th hole, where Hyoju Kim is in the process of putting together a pretty good day. If she can hold that, that will be a 69.
Paula Carina, this is for a par 4 on the 16th hole. She just ran it through a fraction into the fluffy rough behind. Yeah, well done, Paula. And she remains at -4. Good going today. No blemishes on the card too, and that's a really good job in these conditions when the wind is howling around this golf course.
Don't think there'll be too many blemish-free rounds on any cards today. Hyoju Kim slides one by, unfortunately, with her par putt at the 9th, which is her final hole. So she'll drop one, but still pretty satisfactory opening. Anything in red figures today is good going. We have 24 players in red figures at present.
In Kyung Kim, trying to save her par, was left off the tee in the bunker. Not to be. And it'll be another dropped shot at 15.
The rough around here, Ali, is really difficult because the ball just goes straight down in it, and you can be laying really deep, makes it so tough to get out of. And when you've got difficult shots into these sorts of greens, not sure what Lydia's up to there.
She's saying the ball moved.
But just wondering, because the ball has moved. They think the ball has just moved. They're not sure. Obviously, she hadn't addressed the ball. She certainly hadn't caused it to move. So she's just going to remark it.
Little indicator of just how windy it is out there today. She has this 4 par. Yep, slams that one into the back of the hole, making sure of it. So stays in the red figures for the world number one. Solid stuff.
Yeah, this kind of golf just suits her demeanour down to the ground, doesn't it? You know, she's always going to be lurking, even come the final round. You can never count her out with such patience.
And even when you're the world number one, you're not going to go out there and have spectacular days every day. So you just float through those sort of days and around an even par or even 1 under, then you know that better things are to come.
How many times have we seen her start slowly, just steady, and then she starts to put the foot down?
Yeah, the word Evian comes to mind.
A lot. Jumps out at me too, Ali.
Well, this is fast for Aimee Azato at the final hole. This to get it to -4 and to get to within 1 of Yokomine. What an excellent putt from that range. And we said earlier in our coverage that there are going to be so many people so pleased to see this young lady up near the top of the leaderboard after round 1. A long way to go, but that's a good start. She won 5 times in 2010. She got to the world number 1 ranking. Things have been tough since then, but she is a quality person as well as being a quality player.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. She's potentially one of the most approachable players on any tour in the world. Such a great example for Japanese golf.
A lot of left with the tee shots on 15. And that makes life tough with where the pin is placed today.
Well, that's why she was a little nervous, perhaps, Candy Kung. It's tricky because with this wind, there's no real bailout. There is that section on the short right front, but into the wind, it's no sure thing out of this left rough.
This one looks to be laying deep in this left rough. Tough shot for Brooke Henderson.
She wasn't even looking at the flagstick. And even for the most aggressive of players, sometimes you have to know when you've got to take your medicine.
Yeah, well, she certainly took enough club there. Up ahead on 16.
Well, this is a great drive from Yani Seng, full of power, striping it down the fairway. The breeze is helping. What a good birdie that was on 15.
It's quite amazing from Yani, because for 5 or 6 holes she couldn't keep it really on the golf course with the driver, and now she's driving well. Hannah Zhang's second from just the first cut of rough, coming into this tight front pin just over the water.
Well, it was a good-looking golf shot, wasn't it? She has a nice little hold-off motion at the end of her swing, Hannah Zhang. Use it a lot in the wind.
Tee shot at 16 for the defending champion.
It's a different trajectory on the ball for Lydia Ko, who's playing alongside Yani Seng, but it's still a good result. Higher ball flight, lands it softly.
Yeah, a couple of really nice drives there. This hill, this hole, I should say, climbs up the rise all the way.
Business class round trip from EVA Air, if you can pop it in the hole at 17. Paula Creamer's not going to be doing that. That bank on the left-hand side of 17 gets a fair old workout. And when the pin is cut over there on the left, you have got no ground to play with.
In Kyung Kim.
And a good tee shot from In Kyung Kim. Uphill par 4. There's not going to get a great deal of run off the drives.
Yeah, a long way back from the other two.
So this is what it looks like. Sakura's been in the clubhouse for some little time now, and she'll be very content that she's got it around in 5 under. And by the look of things, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to work their way above her on the leaderboard. Amy Yang, 1 back. Paula Creamer, 1 back. She's still out there. She can still do something about it. But Aimee Azato's got herself up onto the front page of the leaderboard, and that's going to make everybody smile.